I have been involved in the last 35 years in theatre, which is often issue-based, picking up stories about women, women's education, women's health, violence on women. Besides all the other theatre work and dance work that I do, I'm basically a classical dancer. I teach and I perform, and I have a dance company and I have my theatre company. The company is called Tehrik-e-Niswan. Tehrik means movement and Niswa is women. So it's basically, we started off as a feminist group and then it became a feminist theatre group, and now it is a theatre, it's a performing arts group using performing arts for all sorts of political issues, deconstructing the whole issue of gender and politics in Pakistan. I think inspiration is, for me, it was, of course, left-wing politics. It was Marxism. It was material dialectics, and it was the struggle and the experience of, people like Che Guevara and the Latin American countries and Franz Fanon, where they actually delved into this and realized that it's cultural inputs that make people think differently and question Paulo Ferraro and these kind of intellectuals who made, for instance, and also the very fact that in the very beginning I did a small little story. I used stories and made a little kind of a skit, did it on the roadside, just as an entertainment. And I realized the impact it had on the people who were watching it. Women who were just walking around with babies in their arms, just sat there. And then they said, well, this is our story, and we want to see more of it. And that's when I realized that actually you can touch people's hearts. And also, you see, remember that what are we influenced by? We're influenced by the stories we hear when we are by our grandmothers, the lullabies, the songs, the little legends and folk tales that we hear. Those are the things that made me understand that is what stays with us for the rest of our lives. And so that is the storytelling, that is the magic of the performing arts. Initially, for something like 20 years, Tehrik-e-Niswan was not funded by anybody we had no funding, we never paid anyone. It was like a voluntary political commitment, a commitment to our country, to our society, to our city, to ourselves, that we have to change this system somehow or the other. So it was actually a politically minded group of people, men and women, young men and women, who were motivated enough to, we had all gone through working in left-wing parties, in left-wing movements, and we felt that change can only be brought when we start thinking differently. And we realized through our work, through working in culture, through working in theatre, that this is how we can bring change, especially in societies which are not necessarily very literate, very educated. People are not, there's no tradition of sitting and listening to papers or, long intellectual talks, but storytelling. And we take off from our own traditions of storytelling, where Sherazad, the mother storyteller, changed the thinking of the very violent, misogynist male, Prince Shahryar, who had committed to kill all the young virgins, to ravish the virgins and then kill them the next night. And with her storytelling, over those 1,000 nights, she managed to change his way of thinking. And see, so we take our basis from that actually storytelling, the magic of the performing arts, where you get the audience to use their imagination. This is my shawl, but it can become my baby, or it can become my weapon, on honor killing, for instance, we've done a play on honor killing, and we called it Aakhir Kyun, which means but why. And in Pakistan, there are 3,000 women who get killed in the name of honor every year. And here we are talking about 12. So you see, and so when we created the play there in Karachi, we worked with a group of people. Some of them were girls who themselves had somehow escaped being killed, and so they'd gone through this whole experience. So it was a very, very powerful and emotional experience creating that play and performing it. We performed it in 100 villages and small towns, and often we were pushed out of the town or the village, not allowed to perform because, see, there are vested interests in Pakistan on this issue. It's a combination of the clergy with the landlords, with the police. So it's a three-pronged thing, and these are the people in power, right? So it is tough. It's much more difficult there. Besides this, then we've done a lot of work on, for instance, blasphemy laws, which are very, very sensitive issues. We've done, things on violence and on violence on religious minorities like Ahmadis and Shias and Christians. So we do a lot of very, very political work. You see, initially, and even now, we play very low-key in the sense that we don't publicize ourselves. So we go into low-income areas, we go into communities, we do our performance and we come away. We don't make a noise about it. But so we are trying to influence and penetrate at a level where we think it's important. And I don't think it's important at the level of press and publicity. It's important at the level of trying to change, as we say in this particular play as well, the mindset, change the value system, change the way people think. I mean, we perform in areas which are very politically volatile, very politically sometimes violent, and but yes, I mean, we have survived. I mean, what can I say except that I'm lucky. For instance, for 3 years, every month, in fact, once a month, for 3 years, we went to one particular area. This is a low-income area called Orangi. I'm talking about some time ago. We went there regularly every month, and we performed in the same space. This was a school, a model school that some people who live in that area had made. And in those 3 years, we developed a rapport with the community. We developed a rapport, of course, with the teachers, with the students, with the whole area. And after 3 years, we moved away to another area. Then when we were sort of a year later, we were trying to put things together and see where we were. And the people who were running that school came back, and they told us that the female teachers of the school actually took over the whole school. They said, we want to make this a women's center because we feel that it's important for women. So what he was trying to say, this was a man who was running that school initially, he said it was taken over by females of the teachers of the school. And what he was trying to say, and what he did say to us, is that over these 3 years, the thinking of these girls, these teachers, changed so much that they felt they had the power and the confidence to actually take over the school and say, we are going to run it the way for ourselves, for us to generate income, for us to find ways to channel ourselves forward. So I think the performing arts have an incredible magic. You know, we've been doing this festival in Karachi which is called Tilism, and Tilism means magic. It's the magic of the performing arts. I think it works in such a way to touch people's hearts, to touch people's minds, and the combination of the heart and the mind is so important. The idea is to provoke people to think and to give them these alternatives so that they feel that they can change their lives. Lots I do. I'm proud to say that in Karachi at least, and in parts of Sindh also, I've influenced people who form their own groups. I've trained so many people who form their own groups, who are now performing, who are now performers, who are now into television. I mean, you know, there is a lot that makes me feel, oh yes, it's been worth my while. So I don't find it futile at all, and I think that this is the only way. I mean, I wish I loved in this play also that this character that I'm doing says that we have to bring about the change. The power is within us, and I believe that totally. I think women have such tremendous power, and if we can grab that, if we can get in touch with our power, we can change. I mean, you know, think of Pakistani society, or for that matter, most of South Asian societies, where from the time that a girl child is born, you know, it is a time of mourning. It's not a time of happiness that, oh, there's a girl born in this family. And she's brought up with that burden constantly. Besides that, the physical burden that she's brought up, you try to cover yourself up. You may not straighten your spine. You don't put your shoulders back. You know, you're not proud of your body. So you never have confidence in your body. But I think it's so important for women, what I do, the dance, what I teach. You know, let's stand up, breathe, push your shoulders back, straighten your spine. It makes women strong. So I think it's very important. It's important for the feminist movement. It's important for our country. It's important for any people who want to go forward. And I think with the kind of fundamentalism we are seeing in Pakistan and in other parts of South Asia today, and it's growing globally as well, I think the only way forward is about equality of religions, In fact, as far as religions are concerned, I think that it has to be a secular state. No state can move forward unless it decides to put religion as a private matter. But if you bring it into public life, I don't think you're going to go forward at all. So these are things that concern me. These are things that I feel we want to talk about, and we can talk about these things through our work.